Mom spaghetti.
All right, hello. What's going on, Race Brain Podcast? My name is Rich Ryan. I will be one of your hosts today, joined by Jack Bauer, Bracken Crocker, fresh off of a workout. MCL is better. No more night terrors for BK, only for BK's competition. Make sure you check out the most recent TRP.
Went out this morning at 3:01 a.m. Eastern.
Really?
Some dedicated listeners if they're checking that out live.
There's no such thing as live, Jack.
Aren't you doing more on YouTube and stuff?
Not live.
Moron, he
No,
said.
I'm just checking.
Ah,
We do it live here though.
We are live for our Patreon members, checking out on our Facebook group. If you are interested in checking out these episodes live before anybody else can see them, or if you want to get on a little bit on the conversation, check us out over on Patreon. We're working on some games. Jack said he has a game for us today, but we're also going to talk about Hyrox and I'm already off. Let's restart. We're going to talk about Dekafit Anaheim, Hyrox Berlin, and Jack has a game.
Yeah, involving Hyrox Berlin.
Oh, good. That's going to be
This is
treat.
right up your alley, Rich. I need you to go down memory lane and remember a couple of bold statements you made through the years.
And they're all going to be factual. The way this year's turning out, it's like, and that's something that's on the topic list of how correct I've been. It's going to be the best topic.
You don't even know what this is yet.
It doesn't even
great.
matter. If we're talking about things that have been said in the past that have come to fruition, it's going to be positive for you, boy.
I mean, we nailed the play-by-play in the last chance qualifier, so I'm sure all of your previous predictions are right.
BK wasn't too wrong. Pick the
JK
winner.
all
True.
day.
It's true.
Pick the
We
winner.
would have been drafting. I would have drafted him 1 overall, and you would have scoffed, and I would have stomped you fools.
I don't know if scoffed is the correct answer, but
Yeah.
and stomping in fantasy didn't happen. When's our next draft?
Big Bear, hopefully.
Big Bear. Same
And
weekend.
then Spartan World. I mean, Spartan World. That'll never
Hyrox
happen.
Worlds.
Hyrox World shortly after.
We're
And then
drafting
Utah.
for the Spartan 100-meter, 100K payout situation.
Sure.
Whatever they got going
Yeah.
on.
But I want a keeper league for the 60 and 80 meter world.
Dynasty League. I'm in
Evo?
for that.
I don't think that you can keep both of them right there. Way too much overlap. I think you're gonna have to
I
have
think
some
you
are
should
drafts
draft
for that.
better.
Those are two different races, Jack.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, we should split this up.
Like
Those
if you can't
two very
grasp the
different
difference between the 60 and the 80, I'm not sure you have a place on this panel.
That I know I'm one of the 3 board members, but might need to make an
Well,
adjustment.
we haven't voted. It wasn't
That's true.
unanimous.
That's true.
It's not
All up
unanimous.
to you guys.
Has to be unanimous.
Yeah.
So let's start in Dekafit SoCal. Lauren Weeks takes the win on the women's end. First woman to ever break 32 in very impressive fashion. We had Vivian Tifuto finishing in second and Lauren Griffith in third. And then Katie Duke having a really good showing with a time that she ran faster than at Deka World. So
Deka
it was a
Worlds.
really good field here. First off, anyone surprised Lauren Weeks? Just
Yeah.
smashes, drops the hammer, crushes.
Trying
BK?
something new. Winning, setting records. It's
Boring.
good to see her branching out.
Yeah.
Jack, what are your takes?
Well, I did the seeding for the race and I got the top 4 in the exact order, as you imagine. It was real hard. No, I actually, honestly, Vivian last year, she was really dominant. She has the 3rd fastest time ever. So I was like, maybe this will be a little bit of a battle. Maybe she's a little bit better on the air bike, but Lauren's running was insane. Did you see your 5K split?
We can see it.
It was like a 17:52.
Oh, wow.
Now, Rich, what have you done in some of your past Dekafits as someone with really impressive running credentials?
Allegedly.
When it goes well or when it doesn't go well?
What have you done in the past? I don't care if it's gone well.
17 flat.
Okay, how about when it hasn't gone well?
I think I've been slower than that run time, than that run
Yeah.
split before.
It's
So that's
flying.
very impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
And in the team race later, Anthony and her, they went like 16 high. So she basically on her own almost ran the same pace solo as she did in the team race. Like, it is impressive.
You know how there's these narratives about athletes that they are a certain thing, and after a while you have to question it. Like PJ Tucker is a corner 3-point specialist. Like, is he really? I'm starting to think that
He
about
can make
Rich and running.
sometimes. Come on.
He's
he
the
really
running
fast?
guy. Come
Yeah.
on. When's Rich had the fastest run split lately?
That
Is he the
Deka,
running guy? I don't know.
That's
I have
me.
never seen verification on any of his times he's allegedly run. He had his Magita downhill 10 mile.
I was just gonna
And
mention
other
that
than
one.
that, I don't think he ran any of the times he said he ran.
Yeah.
I got Strava proof.
There's no 752 on his record.
3 miles
Standard.
downhill.
52, yeah.
No, I haven't
All right.
seen it. I'm not
I-
buying it.
Hey, I
Mark
have
is the running guy now.
So rich, fraudulent Ryan.
never
basically.
done 3x15 flat. So
No, 1509.
1509.
Have you run faster than 1509 in the last 5 years?
5 years? Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
ran.
you see that OCR stars? That 6 miler? Not 10K, 6 miler.
Yeah, second half of that 6 miler, I
Yeah.
think, was faster than that. Boy,
No, that's momentum. That's inertia. I'm talking about a standalone
Momentum.
5K.
ooh, I did an out and back 5K in like 15:0 something, faster than 9
Okay.
on the road. But
Okay.
GPS,
So he might be the second fastest guy.
come on, bruh.
You can
I'm the
keep it for
running
one more
guy.
week then.
Anyway, let's go back
It's
to
me.
real runners. Lauren Weeks.
Lauren Weeks.
We saw her like a week ago run a 9 miler, 15K, right around 6 flat pace.
6 flat
at
pace.
elevation.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up. It wasn't a net downhill course. Like, she's got wheels, so it kind of makes sense that she's able to hold this.
Oh, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
The previous record,
and-
Jack, was 32:20 something.
26, 28. Yeah.
So it's about a 30 seconds of breaking Meg Jacoby's record. That was another solo effort. I mean, these efforts are just soloed in Deka.
That was early for Meg, right?
I think that was her first race.
Yeah.
I thought that, yeah. I thought
It was her first Deka. It wasn't
August
early
or something.
for her in the sport necessarily. She'd already had the Hyrox world record at the time.
And she did Deka mile only because she did not run a fit the previous year.
Yes.
At Worlds in Atlantic City.
But debut at any distance, I don't care how experienced you are
Yeah.
at other distances. We know it's not her ceiling.
Correct. Correct. So seeing those two together, I mean, we're talking, and they're getting 31:30. That's got to be in the cards, right? This is just such fast running.
It is really fast.
Yeah.
Girls might be the best compromise runners in the sport right now.
Seems to be the
Just-
case.
Just for comparison, so Lauren Weeks, she ran a 31:58 this weekend. My PR, which I got 11th at Deka Worlds and 14th at Deka World, the 2 years I've done it for Dekafit, I have a 31:47. So she's basically about top 10 in the men's field. Pretty close.
She's Jack Bauer. Is that what we're saying? Lauren
Pretty
Weeks is
close.
Jack Bauer?
Maybe I'm her. I think you
Wow.
always upgrade.
You are her, Jack.
She has ascended to Jack Bauer status.
Yeah. Because at Worlds, like this past year, I went 32:06 and I got 14th. So she ran slightly faster than I did.
Oh, significantly.
You're right. Yeah,
These
8
run
seconds
times
faster.
these run times are insane. On Meg's, according to the splits, Meg ran 19:38, but there was 12:49 in her zones,
Wow.
and Lawrence is 17:51 and is 14 flat.
I've looked at her splits in the past. She doesn't kill the zones.
Her bike is still
It's like 2 minutes plus.
needs
It's a
work.
struggle.
Yeah, Meg was 90 seconds, 93 seconds, whatever.
Vivian, same deal. She was like 20 seconds faster than her. I thought that the tide was going to change a little bit at that point, but Lauren just didn't stop.
It's the reverse Kevin Gregory. All right, I'm going to sacrifice the bike and I'm going to run
Yeah.
super fast.
That's not a bad method to do. I mean, this is really fast. 17:51. Hoo-wee.
Pull up Worlds for guys, because I thought like you didn't have too many guys under 18, even at Worlds last year.
Rarely you do. Let me see when I blew
Yeah.
up really bad. I was 18:30 in PA.
Yeah. And the thing is,
I'm
you can't be
cooking.
like, this is a short course, because you had 6, 7 guys who have broken 32, not even come close to that this course.
And you had Yancey Culp there.
Yeah, Yancey, very, very high integrity when it comes to getting this distance right. You can't even imagine the number of conversations we've had, and he's just so passionate about making sure this is the right distance. I believe this is an accurate course.
Only fast course in Deka was when it was on all weather. It was on Mondo.
That's right.
Fort Wayne, close to Bracken.
BK won't go.
Nope.
We'll never see him. All right. Yeah. Let's see. So just this is, I mean, and I had something written down when we were last year when Lauren was kind of coming into good fitness. We were like, imagine what she's going to be like with some more training, uninterrupted, like postpartum. Like, what is it going to look like? Are we there, or is she still like ascending? Because this is getting crazy.
It's getting
Well,
scary.
both.
Yeah.
Both, right? Like we're there. And the odds of her being at her ceiling in a solo effort, in a Hyrox World Championship build. I mean, I love doing this during the build, but is this her ideal Deka fitness right now? You've done both.
Right?
In terms of physicality and like structure, I feel like you two are kind of in the same mold. Like, does that make sense? You're not the tallest athletes in your field. You're not the smallest. Like what you bring to the table structure wise is about the same, and you've never been able to time Hyrox and Deka to peak at the same time.
Certainly
And
not.
so like the odds are she hasn't either.
She has a little bit of that like fire breather in her though, like where she can just
She
kind of
does.
run through a wall. Where I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't think that doesn't look
You're the running guy.
doesn't look
Wall's a little
enjoyable.
scary.
I'm gonna run around the wall.
Yeah.
I'm running around. Lauren was just blasting through it. So I think she has a little bit of this high end available to her a lot. In the CrossFit quarterfinals were just this previous weekend, and she participated.
2
And
days
she
before this race.
yeah, she could have done it she could have done these workouts like
Yeah.
during it, like somewhere like right after. Knowing Lauren, she probably just knocked them all out. But she finished third in the North American West region in a workout that's all engine. That was like box jumps, it was wall balls and burpee box jump overs, and it was like
That was a disgusting workout.
yeah, real gross. And she finished and she beat lots of games athletes in that. And Miriam won. Miriam won, beat everybody in the world.
Worldwide.
Yep,
Never lost.
never lost. She so I mean Lauren has the ability to really put out on a high end. She beat me in that workout by 3.5 minutes or something like that. So
God.
she has the ability to really go into that dark place. And if of course we've seen her do it on like the first runs in a lot of these events, but
And part of that's physiological, and the other part is willingness.
mhm.
Like the confidence that you can and not fear it as much. That goes a long way. So yeah, you're right. She can drop into a Deka with a little bit more reckless abandon than you or other athletes who are a little more calculated would. But either way, she clearly isn't peaked for this.
I appreciate you trying to compare me to Lauren Weeks. That is a big.
I already
it's
got that
accurate.
comparison. You get out of here.
I think that's accurate too. I'll take it. So yeah,
The-
it's gonna
the thing-
be. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the thing with her is we've seen her in Palm Beach in the past and a couple other races. She just gets out real fast and doesn't really extend the lead. She just kind of created 10, 15 seconds early, and that's what she won by. This one, if you look at her first lap, she went 141. Then every single other lap except for the one after the air bike, she ended up going 144.1 to 148.3. So she only had a 4-second spread the entire race. She knew exactly where to dial it in.
This is really fast, dude.
It is.
These run times are really fast. Like not being over 2 for any
Ever,
of them.
even after the air bike, even if you slow down on it, that's ridiculous.
When I run
Right.
my first one, I will be very excited if I run this what she run.
Okay.
Run.
Here-
Like thrilled, out of this world. Hey, that went great.
That'd be great. Yeah, for sure.
here's another one. Glenn Race, you see what he did for a 5K recently?
No,
15:56.
nice.
He went 18:27 on his runs in this race. What?
and the thing with Deka is that it's not scaled at all.
No.
Like only like the rams.
Farmers carry and
Anything that's like weighted. But
ram
like,
burpees, I think, are scaled, but by then you're not even the runs are over.
the hardest thing in a Deka are the machines, and they're not scaled.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, there's no explanation for it that explains away how great she did. There's none. You can't come up with one.
No,
She can do better.
she can do better. 31:20s. Are we looking at under 31 and something like this? But how fast she ran?
I mean,
If her bike gets better by 30
She has
seconds.
30 seconins waiting on the bike, right?
and this
Someday.
is all solo.
Even if she gives back like 5 or 6 on that next run, she runs a 2:05.
She's gonna be
All right.
net 20 plus on that.
So here's the thing. We've seen Michaela Norman do Dekafit a few times over in Europe. She's willing to. She goes out fast. Meg Jacoby, world record holder. Vivian, third fastest all time. She was in this race. I know she got gapped, but look at her time. She still broke 33. That never happens. I think she was only about 7 seconds off of her PR, so she's in fantastic shape right now. You get Morgan Schultz in there, Tara Jackson when she's fit. I don't know how low this can go.
Well, first of all, does Michaela go out fast in Deka? I honestly don't know.
I don't know if she has the ability to run that fast. Honestly.
Because we've never really seen her get out in Hyrox.
I'll try to find some splits.
And they're weird. They're 3-lap courses generally.
Good point.
The other thing that I find really interesting about this is that if you look at split like gap time behind leader, Dekafit and Mile will oftentimes have bigger gaps than Hyrox. And that's it's we get how short spicy races work. Like when you go, it goes. But the Hyrox field stays tighter sometimes than Deka do at the top end.
You can't really fight through a Deka.
You don't come back.
No. If you go over, if you go over that line, in Hyrox, like you've really miscalculated your effort in like the first 3 stations. But if you even make it past the row, like you've done a good job of like figuring out where you are in terms of like your output. But Deka's not like that. Deka, you can get sit-ups and be like, oh no, I've made a tremendous mistake today.
The bike sits in such a terrible spot.
The bike should be the reason not to go out hot. It really
should not to do a Deka.
That's fair. That is fair. Yeah, so then Vivian coming through in second. Good showing for her. Delivers as she does. Lauren Griffith is actually was faster than what she ran at Worlds when she finished third. Overall got third in this race. And then Katie Duke again, like we talked about. And then Allie Zartman was fifth. Teresa Rumfollow was sixth. And that'll round that out. Anything else you want to add?
I like seeing the Hyrox girls do it now. Really good tune-up for anyone who's about to do last chance.
I think it's good timing.
Yeah, you can't do anything in Hyrox in the first 2 stations that are going to feel spicier and put you more in an uncomfortable place than that.
One row hard.
High end. Yeah, so I like it.
So with May 4th being about 5 weeks before Hyrox Worlds, would you recommend someone, if you're in the US, go to Sacramento, or you think just dial it all in on Hyrox specificity?
I think that timing's fine.
Yeah. I think if you live close enough, like within a couple hour flight, and you really want to do that and you know the field's going to be deep, then go ahead. But don't necessarily need to go out of your way to do it, but it would still be interesting to see how they do.
I think you find an open and you win it.
For what?
Hyrox.
For Hyrox. Yeah, because you're probably in a big build at that point for Hyrox. So
your volume is probably high.
Probably high. Like a bigger Hyrox workout would you're probably looking for. But if you time like a down week for it or something like that, it could work.
Or double session. Hit that in the morning and grind after.
Good point. Yeah.
Then CrossFit quarterfinals in the afternoon.
Yep.
Easy.
Yep.
Easy. To the dudes. We saw Isaac Sanderson take the win in 29:41. Very impressive. Very impressive.
Flyer miles must be just awesome.
Cranking. I think he does a lot of travel for work.
He does.
And he's in the Pacific Northwest now.
Just outside of Portland.
Yeah. And then Glenn Race dipping under 31, 30:59. Grayson Kilgore, was his debut in 31:12. Joshua Gonzalez was 32:24. Daniel Sorensen was 32:38, rounding out the top 5. So, I mean, Isaac was definitely the story here. He looked
so good.
So comfortable. Really good all the way through. And his station splits were really solid. For him, it's just going to be like, how much faster can he get on the runs? Because I don't know how much better he can get on these stations, really.
What was the station total time?
12:03?
12,
17:38 for the runs.
Which isn't bad.
No, it's good. But if he wants to ascend to, I mean, like this time, what was third at Worlds last year? Not this fast, right? What did Riker run? 29:50 something?
I don't know. I thought it was he just broke under 30. Yeah, 29:50 sounds about right.
And this is a bit of a redemption for our guy Isaac Sanderson, who did not show very well at Worlds last year, finishing in 9th and 30.
Because he did World's Toughest Mudder 3 weeks before.
Well, yeah, I mean that's just a lesson learned.
Yeah,
right.
This time, so 29:45.6. He went 29:40. This would have been third at Worlds last year.
Yeah,
we really glorify in this sport more than any other sport I've ever been a part of, over competing. OCR, Hyrox, like we really glorify it. And this isn't to the three of you, this isn't taking a shot at any of you, but the three biggest culprits, or the three poster childs for doing it all always, are Chris, Rylan, and probably Isaac now.
He's getting there.
And all three
Austin Azar
have had setbacks with that. You know, we've had injury with Chris, always on the edge, and some injuries and some setbacks with Rylan, and Sanderson has had a few times he just couldn't put it all together. And that's just like human physiology. And so it's just a good reminder to everyone that you don't have to do it all, because it does come to eventually. And we see him prepped for a race now, at least in terms of how we can grasp not bookending races to get there. And he just crushes.
Yeah, right. And that always comes down to the individual's goal. Like some people, it's like crushing might not be the goal, and just doing the experiences are the goal. But if your goal is to crush, specialization seems to be a better route.
There's a middle ground in there for all the extremists.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, but 29:41, I mean,
it's really good.
It's a real deal. And he looked good doing it.
Is that a top 5 time?
So say 5 or 6.
So
what was Dylan?
Rylan, Magida, Riker have all broken 30. You and Kent are the other two?
Dylan was 47? Or am I misremembering?
Oh, Dylan, I thought he was 30:02 at Worlds, I think.
He was faster than that. Oh, in PA, he was
Pennsylvania.
Under,
okay.
Yeah,
so maybe 6.
29:55.
55. Okay. So that's
Isaac might be 4th on a leader, 5th on the leaderboard, because Magida is faster than him.
Yeah, Magida was like 22 last year at Worlds, I think.
Yeah, I think Isaac is 5th fastest all time now.
Pretty good. And this is with the new standards, which are going to be slower. Like his burpees were 112, and the old standard wise, that could be like a 62.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Just that alone. And who knows what these stupid tanks are doing. This sport, well, we're going to talk about Hyrox, what's going on over there. Deka just went the opposite way. Yeah, Deka's went the other way. They built the home run walls higher, pushed them back. You know, they're like, we're just not, we're good on the records of the past.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Like the world record holders, are good guys and girls. Let's just keep them.
We're holding that. That's going to be the record. We had mixed doubles. Kevin, what was it? Gregory and Lauren Griffith. Kevin he keeps trying to come after this mixed world record. It's just not going to happen, dude. Hang it up.
You didn't get your time?
No.
Oh. What were you and Meg, what did you get?
I think we're at 25 something.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, our time was pretty fast.
Okay, that's insane.
They have good teams out there.
Well, like you said, Kevin's allergic to running, so maybe if you learn to run a little bit, spend a little less time on that bike.
People keep trying, but it's not going to work polarized teammates.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
Look who does well at Worlds. It was like Eric Williams and David Magida. Fantastic teammates.
They switched on the air bike.
Yes, they switched on the rower.
Which you should. Unless you're dropping 15 or 20 seconds. Like, why not?
Even then.
Because then if you can split the run, because then they could both do that next run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm on board. I don't think that the Thunder and Lightning is the approach here.
Unless you have a real runner, like
even
world-class level runner. I think they can.
What can you do in 500?
It would have to be like, like
58
a Centro.
or something. Or if they're running like 58 second per 400 pace or something. If they're dropping Derek Yorick 115s, then
right. But
maybe.
The point is that's not that much different from what you can make up on the station, you know, and with your other runner. The athletes in this sport can split 500s better than a runner can do any single station. comparatively. So I just the Thunder Lightning approach. I don't buy it. I like that he's trying. He's trying every option. He's our case study.
Yeah, he's literally trying everything.
Keep trying.
Did you see what he did also afterwards?
Oh, he did the 50K, the Dust and Glory.
Dust to Glory, yeah.
Dust to Glory.
So Kevin's day started at like 4 a.m. in Connecticut, flies across the country to LAX, 6 hours on a plane, gets picked up, goes to the airport, does this team race, flies to Illinois. That was the same morning of. Flies to Illinois the next day, and then he does a 50K Dust to Glory of Deka movements.
He's got that OCR over competing situation going on. That's OCR written all over it.
He did 7 events at Worlds, right? Or something crazy.
He did like every relay, I think.
Yeah.
It's built for it. It's an Ultraman with power.
Built different. What else?
And I think Kevin got second there, just as a shout out.
Yes. Yes, he did. Winner, I don't know. Jack, that's on you. Glenn came out and did his thing, so put him in a pretty good spot for a World's time. I think most people were going to have to be under 31 this year, I would imagine, unless they expand the field even further. We don't know what's going on with Worlds still. We don't have we don't have a date or location or really qualification standards yet, right?
Figure it out. The right people will get there.
I'm guessing top 20 probably again, because
Spartan just lets them all in. Everybody gets a coin.
Yeah.
Everybody gets that coin. So, but this puts Glenn in a great spot for the field. Grayson in his first Deka probably went out a little too hot. Probably got to that point that I was talking. It's really hard not to. It's really, really, because it doesn't feel hard at first.
No, and then it does.
But then it gets you. It gets you. But still hanging on for 31-12. I think he has a minute of time probably somewhere in there. I think he's a guy who's going to be also pushing that 30 flat marker. Probably within the year. I mean, he has the fitness for sure.
His power output, I think if he paces well, he's got 30 seconds right there. Just better running, a couple seconds each lap.
For sure.
The end of the race. Dead balls, assault bike, and the Rams. There's just, if you come to those out of power, you can't do what you're supposed to do. And it's not even close. So he has so much time sitting there.
Yeah, and for him, it was his bike and then his run out of the bike. He was trying to stand.
He looked slow on camera, no offense. It was hurting.
I've been there, so I can say it.
No, I agree. I've seen that.
Dude got whacked. But then his run after was pretty tough. And his bike, he was standing. That's not the move, I don't think. It's just not going to get the power output that you would typically. It's just going to be a little slower. And it clearly didn't help him on the next run.
And it trashes your quads.
Right. So sit your buns down. And that's another thing with the Dekafit time markers. Now we have to adjust the seat and I mean, that's sometime. I thought I'd turn this off.
Thumbs up.
You like
that seat adjustment right there.
You like that? I don't. That Kirk Cousins.
Do a thumbs down. See what happens.
Do they have it loose that you can run in and just crank tighten, or do you have to unloosen?
I think it's loose. It was pretty quick last time. I didn't do the slide back and forward. Yeah. I would hate to get to a seat where like it's all the way back, because I definitely push it pretty close to the front. But I think dropping it to 0 at least evens the field for everybody, because I've been in a couple of races in the past where I'm like, I can't go on a 1, or they took the one that I preset, and then you're just kind of out of it.
Yeah, it just makes sense. It is the right move, but it's just like one of those things. It's like everything's gonna be a little bit slower now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unless you're really short.
Let's pop on that 0. And our guy Tyler Veerman with a debut. Really coming big time race brain.
I mean, missed a lap or something, right?
He overran one into the sled and then underran one into burpees, I'm pretty sure.
The wash.
It's fine. And then he had to run after burpees, which is tough.
That's where he made up.
They made him do an extra lap after the burpees. And then he has a 1-minute penalty on here too. He would have crossed in.
He would have been 32 low.
4th or 5th.
He was ahead of John Howard at that point, if the screen was to be believed.
Yeah, he would have done fine. I mean, it didn't look like he was having a nice time.
No.
But shouts to him for getting out there and doing it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I think. Do you think that we're going to see more people, because we've seen one or two people a year kind of transition from other thing into hybrid. It's just kind of been consistent. You didn't see Glenn race the first year, but now he hopped into it. You see Isaac Sanderson come over, and I think that Tyler might be one of those couple people this year who makes a difference.
You think so? You think he's gonna be part of this, or do you think it's just like there's something to do, and now I'm gonna have the Trail Ultra season?
He told me that his Trail Ultra season ends around August, so he's eyeing September, that last Florida race, and he might also do Sacramento,
Oh wow.
which would
Okay.
be really cool. But that's a
Yeah.
might. Yeah.
He's a really good athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In his run, yeah, oh yeah, that's why. It was because of the run. He went 20-25 for his 5K. I'm like, that's not Tyler Veerman. Oh, it's because he has a 350 for one of his runs. So he was probably like 18 low or so, but he didn't look out of place on much of the stuff. I think his air bike and his ski erg looked like could have cleaned it up when you saw him briefly on there, but he's fit. He works out, like does some strength.
He has plenty of lean muscle, but he's just like he's slighter. He's a little smaller than what we're seeing now. And like if you did a side by side with him and like Josh Gonzalez, who's like yoked, and he was doing just as well. If he wants to be super serious, I mean, a little muscle could help him, but at this point,
probably not going to help him in the trail season, but
I know
could
he got really lean, for the trail and ultra stuff.
Yeah, think about a guy like Tyler. It's like you've seen him have ultra success and a couple of heartbreaking races for him. It's like this is over in 30 minutes or so. If you do you want to put all your eggs in one basket and hope that your ultra that you're eyeing at the end of the year goes well, or is this maybe just a new thing to give it a shot? That's kind of something he has to weigh, I guess.
If he improves like we think he can, he's going to be in the conversation for overall skill set. Because we've seen him do a wide range of things now. If he adds a Deka podium to it, he'd have that combined with a 24-hour runner-up and Spartan National Series,
3K Series, and Beast, and Supers.
OCR World Championship.
That's
so
a resume.
He eventually does very, very well at like world-class level outside of like pure trail mountain ultra, and we can't expect that out of OCR athletes.
You faced him in a stadium race once, right? He's got good footwork there.
Give him work.
Did I?
Work delivered.
Toyota Stadium.
Here you go.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was you, Isaiah, and Tyler. I thought.
Yeah, that was a funky stadium. That was a semi-pro soccer stadium.
Toyota Stadium just rolled up in a Tacoma.
They didn't send. I thought I'd
dumped out all that work right to his feet.
That was another one of those races I led for like precisely 6 seconds.
Right at the end.
Win's a win.
Got Isaiah on the assault bike.
Really? Ooh, that's impressive.
Second, left first.
Dude, let's go.
You want to know why?
Cheated?
Because he didn't click start.
You missed that button.
Yeah. Nice, dude. Hey,
race
for 6 seconds.
Part of the race.
Yep.
Press start. Stupid.
He knew he wasn't going to out sprint you anyway.
I'm the KG, not KG.
Just anything is possible. You screamed it across the line.
I meant Kevin Gregory, but then I realized how that was going to come across.
He has a nickname. It's Bubbles.
I refuse to use that.
Not going with that. So
I don't support the clown thing. I just don't, and I've told him that.
You got to
to his face, or
I'm very uncomfortable around that.
Some people have things.
I like
clowns.
him. I've roomed with him at a race in Killington, but I can't get on board with.
Imagine if you didn't know about the clown thing and you saw like you wake up and you just see him on the other bed and he's
like three
putting on
masks.
this clown mask at 3 a.m. when you're about to wake up.
He's two different people, and I only support one of them.
KG. So, yeah, Veerman. It's an interesting conversation about Veerman because I was thinking immediately to VJ, whose debut was certainly better than this in Deka, but VJ hasn't gone to the distances that Tyler has. Mark Gaudet, however, he might be one that's a little bit more like a 1-to-1, and Mark didn't have the opportunities, just like work and life stuff, to do the 3K, and I think he would have done well.
He's been so busy. Yeah. But he'll have it'll calm down pretty soon for him.
That middle section though, that super beast, he's not nailed the way Tyler has.
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Yeah, I think Mark has a couple top fives in National Series stuff. And
Right
what's
around.
Tyler?
Yeah.
What's
A lot
Tyler's
of single
best finish?
digits.
3?
He has a podium.
No,
Yeah.
Tyler at National Series races.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me see on his.
2 or
He got a
3.
podium
He
at
has
Utah.
5 National
Yes.
Series podiums.
5 podiums. Wow. I think he had a West Virginia.
Yep. Utah a couple times. Big Bear this past year. Blue Mountain, Canada.
And then that 15K.
And
Yeah,
that monster 15K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another
Right.
decent
But close.
comparison for like not huge athletes still doing well in hybrid. Like early on, Rebecca Hammond. I feel like
Different game
she's
now.
I know, but I think she could have done damage.
That's
My
fair.
great what if is Faye. I think Faye was made for hybrid sports.
I mean, we're seeing on the women's end, there are athletes who are like similar build doing fairly well. But
She
still
may have run into
different
frame
game.
issues, but
Different
yeah, different game.
You can't sit down or you can't use a bucket on wall balls. And
She was new.
I
That's
never
the-
used a bucket. Rich never used a bucket.
Hell no. That's one of Dave Claxton's things. He wants it to be part of the race. Like that's where you
No.
have to go. And I was like,
No.
if that was a requirement of Hyrox, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I would have just been like, this is the dumbest race.
Could you
I've ever seen
imagine
in my
all
life.
these articles out there right now? And it's like, come sit on this bucket during the race. It's like, absolutely
People,
not.
functional fitness community thinks that shit is dumb enough. And if we're sitting on a bucket,
Yeah.
And I agree with so much of Dave. I think he's a really smart guy. I think he's like in the know on almost everything. But this bucket thing is enough that it makes me question,
all of
like,
you
do
have
I
to.
know Dave? Like,
Yeah.
If you follow the way you do anything is the way you do everything, this bucket, it poisons your well, Dave. If I didn't, I wish I didn't. It's like Kevin Gregory's bubbles mask. I wish I didn't know those two things about you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Question. Isaac Sanderson. Can he take one of those last 2 spots at Anaheim last chance qualifier?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm breaking 60. That he was saying that a few weeks ago. I don't think that's going to be enough to do it. But Isaac's fitness right now is really insane.
Everyone says they're going to break 60.
I know that.
There's probably a dozen guys who truly believe and have the right to that they're going to break 60.
Do you think Isaac can or not can, but will end up beating Anas, Marcus Wallace, Colin Stiefer? Those are probably like the 3 big favorites at the moment.
He's
It's hard to say.
honestly, I give him a 50-50.
I do too.
Beat some of those guys. I don't know if it'll be all and like whoever comes from Europe or whoever comes down. Who else comes down from Canada?
Yeah.
I don't know how the Europeans are going to do. It's going to be.
Yeah, and there's
Should
guys
we
who've been in the
discount it?
lab too, like that we're not thinking of, but that's been their North Star for the last few months. And the thing with Anas, with all 3 of these guys, if we have question marks, Holland less so. But Anas could be boom or bust.
He's sleeping in his own bed. That's going to help.
Well, what's his
I don't know,
training like
didn't-
right now? He's a busy dude. He has like a million
Yeah,
kids.
second child. You're right.
Second,
and
this
then
is 4th. I
4th?
think he has 4 kids.
When I saw him at last, he only had 1 kid with him, and his wife was there.
The other 2 were not with him.
All right,
And
maybe
Marcus
the
hasn't
grandparents were
technically
watching.
done one.
Not in a minute.
Nope, he's got that
You know?
shingles.
It's been over a year. I mean, I think his last race was Dallas last March.
So on paper, he's Stiefert, right? But Stiefert had to do one before he became Stiefert. So I don't. There's enough question mark up front that there's no reason Isaac can't nab a spot.
He's got a name. He's a name we have to consider. He's a name we have to consider in this.
And he just keeps getting better.
Yeah, young dude. Like he's like the next generation. It's like him. Dylan is now, but also Ryland's now, but also the future. Riker, like he's part of that next group of young kids coming up.
I want that next generation. These guys are already here for too long.
You want
Jack
that's gonna
wants
be you?
teens.
The teen
No,
division?
I want to know who is in that next generation. I want them to arrive and show us who they're at.
Jack
Don't
wants
pay
to
me in
meet
that
teens.
corner. Absolutely not.
Hyrox teens coming out.
Reach out to Jack on socials.
That's all right.
All you teens, slide into his DMs. He is yearning for this moment.
Wants to know because then he could write articles and then reference them like 3 years later and be like,
Yeah,
I thought that this
totally.
kid was going to be no one cared then, and no one will care when he mentions it later.
You'll see it. Noah Busher. Here we go.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to do for Deka? This is fun. Deka season feels like it kicks off. That first race is just too early. That Knoxville race Now it's like, okay, we have the back half. I mean, yeah, like what is it? April to November or wherever it ends up being is like more of a season, and it feels like we're kicking off. Still too long of a season, but we're kicking something off.
That's how I'm feeling about OCR. We had Spartan tease us with a Lula, and there might have been a race that happened the same day. We're not entirely sure.
Yeah.
And then like what? We're just every week like, what's happening in OCR?
We're like, hey, new world championship was released.
Yeah. There have been more world championships released than series races.
Than races, yeah, that's what it's going to be. Most of the races are going to be world championship races. Sick, bro.
Isaac is on the roster for NorCal in a couple of weeks, so that'll be interesting.
Nice.
Can he lower it?
Yeah, I would skip that if I was him. Personally. But hey, sometimes you got to race. You want to race.
He lives in Portland. I mean, he could probably drive there, but yeah. I get what you're saying.
Northern California is big.
It's true.
If you didn't know. All right, let's move along. We had a race in Berlin, Germany. Hyrox was at some sort of aircraft.
TSA pre-check at the airport. Yeah.
Got your clear. That's what it was. If you had clear, you just didn't have to do half of the run.
Global entry, come this
Worth
way.
it.
Global entry knocks off 5 minutes of your Hyrox time. So these times were suspiciously fast. The winning time, Yannick Zapla, Jack?
It's CZ.
Usually that was
I think it's Cha usually.
Chapla?
Yeah, maybe.
German? I don't know. 56.27. Aaron Woodman of Great Britain was 56.35. Robin Steinek, 57.07. John Carlisle, 57.29. Thiago Lusa, 57.37. Danny Ray, 58.10. And Julian Kuger was 58.47. So we had 7 dudes under 59, none of which have been in the Elite 15 all season, and 6 of them would have been second place at North American Championships.
I asked this question in the group chat. I didn't get a satisfactory answer. Jack, you're good at math. Just add up the minutes of first place's everything.
Get that time
just the minutes, not even the seconds. It adds up to 56.
You didn't do this?
I did. Confused.
Just add up his minutes, the 2s, the 3s, the 1s. Add up just the solid minutes. Just throw out the seconds.
And that's 56. Really? Jack, you got a calculator?
I don't know what Bracken's asking me.
He's saying just like when the first run is 2:48, don't just add, just put 2 in the skier.
The individual splits. Okay, yeah. I'll do
just
that.
The minutes of the splits.
Yeah, just add everything and tell me what you get.
It's going to take a second to get on this page.
Oh.
So, all right. And this seems to be almost like the discourse around this race. It seemed most people were like, what is going on here? And it was almost like a turning point in this where now it's undeniable that these courses are just screwed up. And like I've been screaming about it every week basically for a year and a half.
Longer than that.
Longer than that?
Feels like more.
Yeah. Bracken, just I do have an update. So you're saying add up run splits, the 248, 339 in the ski, all that. It ends up coming up to 56.37, and his finishing time is 56.27. And there he has a 7-minute plus rock zone, but I didn't include that in the 56 calculation.
So you
don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, basically something's off on the timing chip is what you're thinking.
Well, just none of the times don't add up to people's time. Their splits don't add up to the finish time. Any way you cut it. Include the rock zone, don't include the rock zone. Count
I mean, if
second.
they're 10 seconds off, that could be like 0.3, 0.2, and that just adds up over time because of rounding. You have 16 different splits between 8 runs and 8 zones. You can get 10 seconds that way pretty easy.
From the math I did, unless they've adjusted it, it was much closer to a minute off. Just on the splits.
Yeah, mine was 10 seconds that I just pulled up for him.
So anyway,
The rock zone was definitely combined with the run total, so I think we can just eliminate that rock zone completely. And this was a 1-lap course, the treasured 1 lap, and this wasn't even like a loop. It wasn't even like a track. It was like you just went out, did a hairpin, and ran straight, and then did another hairpin into the rock zone. So I mean, in terms of efficiency for a course, this would probably be more efficient than even like a 1,000-meter oval. Do you think?
nah, because the hairpin.
Yeah, you just get that long straight. You don't have to do the turns at all.
I don't think turns are very much slower on a 1,000-meter oval.
Huge oval.
How much different do you think like the mile world record would be if it was a straightaway versus 4 laps on a track? No, just 4 laps on a track.
Considerably.
I think so. Okay.
Don't you?
It'd be slower.
Slower with super shoes?
Pacing is so hard with no visual markers.
Well, if it's like if you do it for 10 years and people understand how to pace it.
Correct. Then yeah. But right now they get slower. They would need wave light.
Yeah, if there was wave light.
A wave light strip.
Huge wave singles. That could have been another.
Just like a Tesla or something.
True.
Set at.
True. So I don't know. And this is just like the conversation that just like it sucks to hate taking something away from a dude like Yannick, who is out here doing, like, he races often, he races well, he's generally on the podium, he's kind of on the outside looking in on the Elite 15, but like, what the heck? He ran 56 in an open at Vienna, and then 8 weeks or whatever, 2 months of time, he can run a 56 pro. Like, it's just...
This is the problem. This is what we talked about last time, is that it takes people's hard-earned results and it shifts the narrative to what was wrong rather than congratulations.
Correct.
Because by any way you cut it, this is still a good performance.
For sure, he
You
won.
had 4 minutes to it. It's a good performance. But we all know it's not. We didn't just have 6 of the best people in the world here. And we also know that the odds are impossible that they all peaked and cut off minutes at the same time. It's just not realistic. So we can't take anything out of the time because we know it's not realistic. Any one of these guys might be able to pop a 56, but they didn't all do it on the same day.
Right.
You can't fault the athletes for showing up and racing and doing well on a course that they didn't design. This is like yelling at a player because the ref screwed up a call and they still completed the pass or whatever. Like, it's not their fault. They were just conforming to the rules that were presented to them right there. So I don't fault the athletes for it. I fault the system because all the courses are so different and you're never going to have an apples to apples comparison, which is essential in a sport that involves standardization.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what we get for placing emphasis on time. You get things like this where suddenly you got 6 spots taken out.
Yeah.
For next year.
This would be like imagine if there was a track that actually, I guess it's pretty similar to indoor track and outdoor track. It's like this track decides to be an 800-meter track instead of a 400-meter track. It's like you might have completely different results that don't count. They have adjustments in indoor track for 300-meter, for non-banked, for running at altitude. They have all these considerations because they recognize courses are not identical. So they adjust the finishing time, but they don't seem to do that in hybrid sports yet.
Yep.
And, we don't often, we're not, it's hard to say, right? It's like, if these athletes were racing these other athletes, maybe they would beat them or whatever. But like, there was just basically the pinnacle race in Europe for everybody who was not qualified for the world championships. None of these athletes felt that they could compete at that level, I would assume, right? Whatever, it doesn't work their schedule wise, but if they really thought that they had a chance to make the world championships, if they are 56 athletes, they would have been in this race, right? Like Yannick would have got second in this race based off of his time. And
they thought they were 58 shape, they would have shown up.
Exactly. But now these times, like how many from Berlin? Like there's like 3 or 4 people there's 3 athletes who are now in front of Eugenio who finished 3rd in that race. Like, so now it's not even fair for the Europeans. And like, they are now going to be screaming like how I've been screaming. It's like, okay, I've raced this guy 10 times, didn't even know he was in the race, and they're ahead of me for the next season. Like, this seems kind of silly.
And that's the biggest piece, is we have the biggest body of work for some of these athletes that we've ever had for an outlier course. We've seen enough of these enough to know that what their standard performance is.
I'm almost becoming like, I'll see clips on Instagram now and I'm just like, ugh, like this is stupid. Like just watching Hyrox and being like, this is not real. Like it's just, it's not good for the sport. And now people are starting to understand more than me, because I mean, I've been screaming because I've been getting, I feel like I've been getting screwed by this. But now it's like, okay, this is dumb. Like this is just stupid. And I don't really think that there's anything else that like we can really say about it. It's like, okay, this is dumb. They're not going to fix it. Hopefully they do fix it next year.
So if they're not going to do time, not going to take time out, then it's time to just separate it into regions for the Elite 15 list. It's time to just say, you don't have access to these level of courses, so we won't apply our times to you. We have our Elite 15 in Europe. We have our Elite 15 in North America. And that's how we get to Hyrox. And then there's, it doesn't need to be a tournament, but then there's a race off of some way to get into that, or there's roll down through there. But you just can't. There's no one with an opportunity for this unless some of our fall courses end up being just
super dumb.
Fantastic courses.
Fantastically dumb. Jack, what do you got for us for a game?
All right, I'm pulling that up right now. So you guys, Rich specifically, has had a problem with a lot of these courses through the years.
Yep.
You go back and listen to some of our old episodes, Rich is throwing out like, oh, this course was like a minute and a half fast. This is X amount of time fast. So what I did is I went through all the results ever. And I went through them and I was like, okay, how much faster are these athletes running versus their historic results? So if, it's your 5th race, how did you do in your first 4 races? And now let's take this into consideration and just keep growing as you get to 10 races and whatever. Just kind of like what the margin of error is from all of your races. And I looked at that for every single athlete who's ever run pro, male and female. And then I kind of just took the median value for those. This isn't official. It's just kind of a way to look at quick adjustment, just to kind of see what courses are fast and slow. So what I was going to do, Rich, if you don't mind sharing the screen, we're going to play a game.
Yeah. Hit me with that jigsaw.
Bracken, you want to play a game?
Nice.
Bracken, you're gonna be playing this as well.
So, we'll see.
I'm gonna bust that ass, Bracken. If this is
about
about complaining about
Rich
courses, I'm gonna win. I'm the GOAT at complaining about courses.
All right. You guys see this right here? Oh, shoot. I wasn't supposed to show that. All right. So what we've got right here is every single race. This game that we're playing is called Not So Fast. It's the #1 game show about hybrid race results.
Nice,
so
dude.
What we're going to do is look at the results right here. Here's their actual time. And then you guys are going to guess how far off you think it was. And as soon as you make those guesses, the adjusted time based on how fast or slow each of these courses was will appear, and we'll see who does better.
Compared to what?
Compared to what? Like if let's say you think it's a minute off and Rich thinks it's 2 minutes off and it's 3 minutes off. Rich is closer.
Right. No, I get that. I'm saying, how do you determine how far off it is?
Yeah, this is just everyone's historical results through the years. It's
like an average of everyone in the field compared to their average of their best times, or what?
We taking out outliers?
I don't want to show the other Yeah, I'll go into it afterwards. Because that'll give you the answers to what you're seeing basically. But I'll show like an early one. So basically, we've got like the first ever race.
Get a life.
Look, I'm doing this, so it's easy. We've got the first race right here, and or you scroll down, and now a few people have run multiple races, and you can see like, oh, here's what they have typically run. And also I reset this by rope length because I don't think you can compare a 12.5 versus a 25 meter course. I think they're different. Might have to do something for sleds later on, but basically it's like, here's what you expect them to be. And then here's their actual change and stuff. And I just kind of took the difference.
That satisfies me.
Yeah. I didn't want to show the nerdy side. I just wanted you to do the games, but now you saw that. So let's take a look at.
But now we're aware of how big of a nerd you actually are.
You knew that already.
Now we know.
Yeah. So Berlin, this past race. Here are the results on the right. Okay. Great. Rich, how far off were they?
4 minutes and 15 seconds.
Bracken?
2:55.
I think it was actually a 3:58. So basically 4 minutes off.
I said 4.
Because of this layout, people were running about 7% faster than they typically do.
Imagine if they're wearing super shoes too. That's like
I know.
11%.
But your claim that like some of these courses are 4 minutes fast, that's literally what I'm showing for this.
Yep.
And there are like 15,000 results through the years, something like that I went through. This is a pretty sizable data set to be looking at.
Okay, so
People
I
are
have
running
questions about this.
7% faster than normal. Yep.
Tiago has run sub 60 several times.
I think he only did once.
Really? He just popped a 57 and has never broke ever again?
Yeah.
He did a
Open.
He had a 57 last year on a course that was crazy as well.
Yeah. So Tiago, if we're looking at his
I thought he ran a 59 as well.
He might have.
No, Tiago's time's right here. So yeah, he's typically a 101, 102. He's got Frankfurt 57-54 and then 57-37 Berlin. Every other one is
What did he run
over
when
an
he got
hour.
when he last year at Worlds? Manchester 60, and then when he podiumed, what was he? Leipzig 61.
Yeah, 61-12. So yeah,
He's a gamer.
So
He took down Hunter.
Yeah, you can't take that away from him. But
Yeah.
I would imagine that Tiago is not in the same shape that got him whatever 8th or 9th at Worlds last year, and this is like his first race that we've seen him in all year.
Mhm.
Well, shucks. I thought he had a 59, and I was basing that on my 2:55.
Nah, he had one time when he jumped from
Ah.
60-20 to 57 something. So
Okay.
yeah, couple
358.
nice courses. All right, so we got Cologne.
What is 7 quick math? What is 7% off of a 2-hour marathon?
120 times. That's like a 150, 130.
151?
It's like 8 minutes. Yeah,
My favorite liquor drink. That's easy, man. That's like that makes sense. I think that this should qualify. I think this should count toward world records.
Yeah. All right. So
51.
we don't have to do all these, but just a couple. So the last chance qualifier where James Kelly.
I like
went
this game.
54.03.
1-0. BK's got to
go.
go first.
Yeah, Bracken, what do you think?
Oh no. 210.
Oh, what? That's what I was
Rich, what do you
gonna
think?
say.
Do it. Let's hold
211.
hands together across the finish line.
211?
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, yeah.
143. So James,
should have went the
I
other
think
direction.
his performance was actually worth a 55.46.
That's great.
Okay. Let me
I
see
think
everybody
he's
else's. Hold on.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Kent T said he went like 80, 90%, dropping a 59.20. Some of these other guys are like in the ballpark. We're right around an hour, 59 and change.
like,
I
this
think
seems
Oh,
fine.
Afon with the toughest of times.
It's nice and round.
One flat.
But that's what I mean. Like that I would believe. But then like his time now is better than my time at
I know. Yeah.
like in his race
He's
that
just a
he was
superior
in.
athlete.
He was in that race, if you do not recall. All right, DC.
Okay, DC. And we can do this for the women after. So DC, what do you
This
think,
is-
Dylan?
This is all time, every race, or is there a cutoff from where these times are?
These are taken since the first world championship with the 12.5-meter sleds.
Okay.
Just because I don't think you can compare a course with 25-meter sleds to predict how they would have done a 12.5. Because it's just a different event.
25 seconds.
25 seconds
Okay.
for the men.
Come on, man. Fine,
Don't
28.
Ah,
57.
57. All
So
right.
Dylan's 56.37 was probably a 57.34. And this is how fast the times would be on a non-grid course. That's another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these fast courses or fast times are happening on grid courses, which is not where you're typically seeing at regular races. So yeah, about a minute. Rich, your 58.16 is like a 59.14.
Not buying it.
These. All right.
It's best runner in the sport. You're going to say that he did that?
Impossible. The course was slow. I almost guessed slow.
Yeah. All right. Vienna.
BK, you're up first.
I'm going to say, well, this is tough because there was a lot of time. There was
Alex had
some
that weird rower mix up.
there was some nonsense out on course.
Just from one guy.
But the other guys didn't have nonsense.
Just one guy. The other guy decided he had enough of that race.
145.
Oh, wow.
Rich?
I'm going under that. I'm going to do 53. Wow.
Oh, bracket within 2 seconds.
Ow.
So Alex probably ran equivalent to 56.15, but if you take away his fiasco with like the rower, he's probably in the 55s realistically. But a lot of these other times, few guys would have equivalent broken 60. I think we're getting so used to seeing times in the 58, 57 range.
How many are you taking? You're just taking the Elite 15 of this, right? That's also something to consider when it's like.
Oh, okay. That's another thing that I did. I looked at the top events that were one standard deviation above normal.
Explain that.
So
more.
I think the cutoff for men's times. So if you were 1:10:32 or faster for men, and if you were my screen's in the way. If you were faster than 1:14:30 for women, that's what I was looking at. Like, because the slower times are gonna hurt things because they're not gonna suffer the same way that faster athletes would.
But also when these races like DC, Vienna,
Yeah.
Stockholm, Chicago, we're talking about supposedly the 15 best athletes
Yes.
in the world. So the times are going to be faster.
Yes. Yeah, of course. You're gonna see times that are faster when you get more fast people in the same race with each other. And
which is what's crazy about Berlin.
Yeah.
What's even more crazy about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
All
like what would be this, like the Vienna, the DC, and the Stockholm should probably be based off of open times, right? It's like a bigger sample.
I would like I said, I'm only looking at times that were faster than about 70 minutes for men and about 75 minutes for women.
Got it. But there was only like in these races, there's only 15 samples. Okay.
So people are going to get mad. So I just want to be clear that when I'm guessing all these are slower than what they're worth, it's because it's grid. I'm not judging the athlete performance. It's the fact that that's what I think the grid's worth on these courses.
Yeah. And these are, like I said, these are converting to what you would do on a standard course that doesn't have the ideal grid layout and, what we've seen through the years consistently.
Like Ronk and Dylan in their respective wins looked special. So I don't even care what the grid says.
Yeah.
They were special performances.
A 2-minute gap is a 2-minute gap. Everyone else ran that same course that day.
For sure.
Right.
For sure. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. Not faulting the athletes. But Rich, Stockholm.
Estocolm.
Sorry.
230.
I remember you had big problem with this one. But Bracken? Hunter running a 53.22 that day.
I'm going to say 145 again.
Got to account for that fast time up front because there's only 15 samples here.
246.
246.
All those times are ahead of my time, which was, well, my time was 59 something now adjusted.
59.18 or 16.
Yeah. Right? Look at that. Come on.
Yeah. Right about there. Makes sense.
Right?
I mean,
Let's
you were
go.
really close to Sandy, like at world champs and stuff right before that. But
blind resume, me and Sandy, same.
Yeah.
Can't differentiate.
all right, Chicago.
You never placed at European championships.
It would be two podiums at national level podiums.
I'm just saying I'd figure it out because you're not European, so suck it.
All right, Chicago, which we know was definitely a slow course, right?
I don't think so. No.
Fast for US.
Fast for US.
It
definitely was.
Good carpet, good sled push.
Big straightaways.
Two
Good
lap.
carpet.
Two lapper. You guys ran
Funky rocks.
58 doubles.
55, I think.
Oh.
Bracken was
Put some
dragging it.
respect on our second place finish.
Yeah. I broke my knee 5 months before that, and Bracken wasn't running fit. So yeah.
Who went first last time?
Bracken's up right now. So if Kent's 55-12. What do you think about it? How far off?
I'm going to say even money.
Even. All right.
These ones are always going to be okay. So you actually had the open racers in here as well. I see Eric Williams.
Sorry.
Yes.
Let me stop.
Yeah.
Converted to a regular race, non-grid, give me 48 seconds.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna have to 135.
Get out of here.
315.
Everybody was running way faster than you typically see them.
And these are, I mean, because this was an American course.
Yeah.
Right. So it's mostly American racers who have had terrible courses. This is the best American course I've seen. Maybe.
Yes. And like I said, this isn't perfect. All that I did was just go through their historical results. Yeah.
62 that day.
Yeah.
But these are also mixed between like the grid course
and regular for like an Anas and Colin and stuff. Yeah, I agree. But and Rich, just like you said, it's like if you're from the US and you've had shitty courses ahead of time, that's going to drag your average down. So this is an imperfect science, but I'm just sticking with
that's fine. That's another win for me.
I fight this one the most.
It's fine.
Look at that though. Berlin still 7%. Can you imagine if Nike came out with the Alpha Fly 7%?
I'd get them.
What people would do.
They'd look like what were those ones that I sent you the other day with the Puma? Were they Pumas? They were all silly like that.
Yeah, their dual launch system.
Yeah. Maastricht. So this was not the European Championship. This is just is this last year?
This is Alex, Tim, Mike.
Oh, okay. So we're okay. We're back another. Maastricht this year was also fast. Okay, we're at the European Championship. So just looking at these times though.
138. But the way this game's going, it's going to be like 230.
That's going to be less than that, 45, because these times are so much faster above it.
103.
Yeah. So, but like at the time though, that would have been like, because now this is also incorporating all the races that have happened since then.
Exactly. Yeah, you might have had 50 races occurred up until then. Now you're at like 130 or whatever.
And now we have like this Berlin course and this Stockholm course, adding these times in that are just like not real times,
not realistic,
right? That are factoring into this. So it's
a running median basically for that. Yeah. All right, Chicago.
This was
when Magida, Dylan, and Michael Sandbach
wasn't allowed in this one. Yeah. I mean, look at these times, right? Like 15 seconds.
All right. And Bracken?
I would, again, say even money, but because the game's dumb, I'm going to say...
BK's getting washed in this game. He doesn't like it.
30.
Minute 20.
Slower.
It was actually one of the rare slow courses.
This was slow because, I mean, it was mostly Europeans in the race. This is when we had the bad sleds, bad carpet. Europeans came over here racing it like it was a Europe course and got waxed on the sled. They came out everyone in the sled push was basically walking backwards.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And Magida just chilled. Dylan just chilled and wrapped them all up.
Made up their ground.
Kent got involved in a pissing contest with Sandy where they both blew up like crazy.
Yep. Bad. All right. Just a couple other ones. Hanover. I know you're a huge fan of that one from
this was last year.
Yeah, you said this one was like 7 minutes fast or something. I forget your exact number. Yeah.
I mean, like, if I'm looking at these, okay, hit me.
Here's Yannick right here from this past weekend. Again.
Oh, okay.
Graham
so
Holiday,
it's at least 3. Yeah. Let me see those. Can I see those Cologne? Or no. Yeah, let me see the Cologne results really fast.
There you go.
So 57. But at the time, I would say this was like, I think it was 2 minutes fast. So right now with all the other ones, 115.
All right, Bracken.
In 2023. Give me 3 minutes.
Oh, within 1 second, Bracken. So it's about 5.2% fast.
That's insane.
Than you'd expect people at the time. And you remember, you threw not a fit. Oh, yeah, you kind of threw a fit. You were mad.
I was 4 minutes at the time.
I was unhappy after this.
I think you were saying close to 4 minutes, which is why I'm surprised you were saying 115 right here.
I was playing the game. I was factoring in all the other fast ones.
I think you went in the wrong direction. But Yeah, this one was the one when 10 people qualified for the top 30. And it's like, wait a minute, what about people from around the rest of the world? And it's like, this was a fast course, no matter how you look at it. People were exceeding their typical times by 5.2%.
That one was like a stab in the heart. I remember seeing
Yeah.
this and just being like, okay, I'm just not going to be able to race in
Done.
championships this year.
Yep.
Because it should have dumb.
Yep. And then
It was dumb and it is still dumb.
yeah, and Glasgow, that was another one that you had an issue with.
See, the issue now is that like the guy up front was the one. So like the other times aren't very strong.
Let's do Barcelona. That's the one that
let me guess that last one.
Oh, Glasgow. All right.
Yeah.
BK has a good feel for this Glasgow.
Got it.
245.
And
I'll go 2 flat. Fast 800.
Bracken wins again. That was 5.9% fast. So jeez. Some of these courses are insane, as you can see.
I'm just going to refer us back to last week's conversation when we said this last chance qualifier determines how much we have to spend on international travel next year. Because the proof's in the pudding.
It's just they
When's
just
the
have
next
so many,
Berlin race.
they have so many opportunities just to screw up the courses, and they take those opportunities and they don't squander them. They're just like, hey,
Chicago.
Yeah,
maybe fall Chicago is going to be our jam.
Chicago was the fastest American course that we've ever had.
I'm going to win the C heat in like 59.
Fort Lauderdale would have been a good one too.
Yeah, actually, if we do Fort Lauderdale right there, the 3 fastest times. Here are the men's totals for this current season. So yeah, you're right. Fort Lauderdale, Berlin's number 1, Fort Lauderdale number 2, Chicago number 3. About 7% for Berlin and about 6% faster for Fort Lauderdale and Chicago.
And funny, you look at this list, just the 3. It's like the U.S. is significantly faster courses.
Yeah.
But and then you go down and there's not another one for 7.
Los Angeles.
I think there's a Houston above it, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was.
But they're explainable, right? Like because of the amount of opportunities these athletes have to run. When we get a course that has favorable running or new equipment, everybody improves because it's the same athletes.
Seems like in the US you have a Chicago the year before Chicago like that's the one you want to do.
Yeah, especially if they're going to keep it that
Chicago, the fastest in season 4 overall. So go to Chicago if you want your fast US time and you don't want to fly to Berlin.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Fort Lauderdale, if they have it again.
That was brand new sleds.
And where do you not want to go? You do not want to go to Mexico City this past weekend. Imagine
really? That's weird.
At altitude. Yeah, 6.8% slower. Imagine that than you'd expect.
It's so funny. The race in North America, they put it 7,500 feet. The race in Europe, they give a 1-lapper.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. And a couple of these other ones, like Singapore, that was outside in like 100% humidity. Of course, it's going to be a slow course. Like, it's just kind of funny seeing.
Oh, you know what? We got a little of a rain shower when Marcus and Dawson and I did our workout, and the sled pull got tougher.
Yeah,
but the push was moving.
Was it?
Oh yeah, and the sled pull wasn't terrible. No, once the carpet got wet. Now the farmer's carry was tougher, but the sleds got a little quicker.
All right, it's like CrossFit Games when they've had the dry versus the wet lane. That issue for the sleds in the past.
Yeah, give me a little sprinkle on race day.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mexico City, or Jack, do we have to? What else you got here?
I was just going to say if there are a couple from the women's side that you want to know about, but
sure. Oh, that wasn't factoring in women.
You guys forgot a guess, so it doesn't pop. But I can give the results if you want.
Who's winning right now? Let's stack this up.
All right. Quick. So just count it out loud. So Rich 1, Bracken 1, Bracken 2, Bracken 3.
Oh my God.
Rich 2, Rich 3.
Yep. Balloons.
Look at those look at those balloons. Ooh, this one's actually close. 15, 18. Okay, so Rich 4.
Oh,
Bracken 4. Bracken 5. 1 second off.
No, Jack, you got that one prior wrong. That was it goes the opposite
30?
direction. I was 30 faster. It was actually
doesn't matter. I'm doing absolute value. Closest. We're not doing Price is Right rules for this.
No, I'm saying that the course got slower.
Course
So
got
Rich
slower.
said it was 15 seconds fast. I said it was
Yes.
30 seconds fast.
Oh, okay. So okay. All right.
I want a righteous win.
Understand. Okay. Okay.
I think he
And
got
then
the last two anyway.
yeah, and then Bracken got the last two.
All right. So we are 6-5.
6-4.
5.
What? There are 10 of them.
6-4. Dang.
Yeah,
Really?
6-4. Nice
Whatever.
try.
I missed it.
Yeah. All right.
Rushing.
Berlin. I could just do the results.
Yeah, just do it. Let's just see.
Yeah, just to get the results. Sorry, I should have done like 5 for each gender just quickly. So Berlin, 10.8% fast this past weekend for women.
Now explain that. The difference between men and women.
It's just the time.
Yeah, just the times. Like these athletes are typically like they're not running 66, 67 typically. They're running 71, 72. And
that's
so
hilarious.
it shows the
they're fitter. Like athletes are going to get faster as they do more events realistically.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying the difference between men and women at the same race.
You just split the genders.
No, I'm saying you have a 10% handicap on the women's side, but a 7 on men. So like it shows the disparity in the system. They didn't both increase by the same amount.
It should be even across.
You would but the sleds aren't a perfect match. Like they take a 70% ratio for the farmer's carry and the lunges. It's not an exact perfect apples to apples comparison.
That is a fair rebuttal.
Yeah. The bottom line is the only course where it's fast. So Chicago for the women, for instance, was 1.8% too slow, and it was 2.2% for the men too slow. Yeah, like every other one is faster when it's faster, slower when it's slower, within like 0.5%, like 1.4 versus 1.7, 3.2 versus 2.5. Like they're in the ballpark of each other.
So if you average the two, you'd get your best guess at how much positive or negative change a course has.
Cologne, you had a 3.2% fast for men and 2.5 for women. That averages out to about a 2.8%. So we can call that about even.
If we factor in both genders, I would definitely be winning on my time guesses. I thought that we were doing that already. That's why my guesses have not been as good as Bracken's.
Understand, of course. Okay, so basically Berlin is by far the fastest. Chicago was definitely fast for the women. If we look at the Chicago results this past year,
what's Estacombe?
Estacombe. Well, I'll get to that after. But Meg, she went 60-18. It was probably worth a 61-30 on a non-grid course that is not a fast course, also. And then Estacombe. Let's see, Estacombe. So yeah, right in that ballpark, within a couple seconds of where she would have been in Chicago. They weren't too far apart either, so that kind of makes sense.
In Vienna,
fitness wise. No, Stockholm versus Chicago for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Just pop up Vienna now.
Vienna.
Where the world record.
Yeah. So 59.26 is what Lauren would have run on the normal course based on her previous results.
Pretty good.
It's still sub an hour.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yep. And if you just
got me excited for Chicago in fall.
Yeah.
Sir.
The other thing that I was just going to mention, if we're looking at where people would stack up this year, because Rich, I think this is what you care about. It's actually putting James Kelly's performance as the best of the year. Do I think he was the number 1 seed? I think Hunter, obviously, he's not too far behind, and he only ran one race and he won it by a lot. So he probably wasn't pushing. It was early. I wouldn't expect this to be the final, but Alex isn't too far back of him when you adjust everything.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, Rich, you're still in the top 15 based on best fast races this year.
Right.
So yeah,
Lucas.
That's a boy.
Hunter's in here a couple times. I forgot to remove duplicates because Hunter's here a few times.
Hey, I'm actually 13. Yeah, I'm close to my seed.
No, there are a few of them. Hunter.
Oh, I'm 12. That's actually my
Toby's
seed.
in there 3.
Yeah. So basically, Rich, you're probably like around 10.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's good value. I have good value for the betters.
Yeah. And then if we're looking at the women for this past year, imagine that. I don't know why some of the duplicates are showing up that shouldn't be there.
Up there pretty high, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but Kate Davey was a real good performance. Mondra Greenlee actually had a pretty solid one. Vivian, Camilla, Lauren Griffith. This looks like last year. There has to be something off on that.
What it shows though is that the people
That's
who
last year. That's great.
That's
compete
last year's.
strong
Sorry.
in championships and majors also have the fastest times now.
Yeah.
And that's the way the world should be. There's always going to be people who
That's
get
not
on
true.
a flyer.
What do you mean?
I'm saying is that the people who ran fast times now have been devalued out of that top 15 list. And the remaining people are the ones who have proved it in majors and championships as well.
So it needs to be like some sort of strength of schedule. There needs to be some kind of ranking, honestly.
But it also proves that the people who can race it are the ones who can run fast. Like the proof of your Hyrox time is being able to do it in a crowd against the other strong athletes. And that's not always the case, but it shows by the Jack's adjustment list there that is the case. Like you have to be able to compete well at a major in order to justify your time.
Yeah, it's just tough because you get blocked out of majors because of these course discrepancies. That's kind of what I was just trying to show. It's an imperfect method. I've done this with Spartan. I could find a way to actually make it a pretty solid adjusted ranking if I went a little deeper into it. But I think it just shows that some of the courses are definitely fast. Like you can only assume people are about as fast as their previous result. Once you've run 20 races in your career and like you've done a few this season, you kind of know where you're going to be. You're not suddenly going to be 3 minutes faster next race. Like if it's your first or third career race, you might drop a ton. But most people, as this sport grows and you have more and more results, you kind of know where people stand. Not too many people make unreal improvements unless maybe they were dabbling in OCR and hybrid at the same time. Now they're going all in on hybrid. So you can expect a little bit of a bump up there, or like a VJ where or Lauren Griffiths, she improved a ton, dropping down to 62, but she started out a little bit slower. You might see some improvements like that, but overall, once you get more and more results, it's going to be obvious that people kind of stay where you'd expect them. And if people are racing 6-7% faster than you expect them, that course is wrong, and you should adjust for it.
And that's just the issue now, right? Because they do want to incentivize the same athletes to come in, right? So now it's like this Elite 15 crowd and then everybody else. And like, it's going to be hard to see how these other people kind of mix in with them unless they do run these stupid times that will get them into these races. And then we get to see it. But then there's other people who might be able to, who should probably be in it, who just aren't. So it's like they're really kind of splitting the field. And it just doesn't make any sense. Like if it was, they took the top 15 times with the autos for next year, like two dudes would be in the Elite 15 from that Berlin course. And like, cause some people who are qualified for World Championships would be out. Yeah. Like, do we just have to see them get starched in a race and be like, okay, you're out, like kick them out?
Yannick did 13th in Stockholm or Estocolm, for instance. Still, he made the Elite 15 based on an earlier performance. It's not like Berlin's it's not like or the majors, I guess. Yeah, Elite 15 for that. Yeah. But it's not like he only popped a good race here. He's done good enough in the past. He's a very solid racer. I'm just using him as an example, just because it's an example.
So I have a proposal for how you mitigate this issue.
Nice.
And that is we need to have a futures race, the race preceding the pro field, where it's just like the JV game, or it's like the AAA ball game, where the people who have run a time that has you on the radar, but you haven't proved it and you can't crack in, like the people who can't crack in, but because like Rich said, that divide's happening. I think we need to have a 2-race major, a 2-heat major. And you have the championship wave and you have basically like the people who are trying to crack in. This is your chance where you go out there and run the exact same course they're about to run and prove it in that race. And then you're into the next one. I'd like them to have a 2-race series. I mean, a 2-race, like a qualify into it. In relegation. You got to have some way to, otherwise Rich is going to be out next year. Otherwise, Alpha Ottens might be in.
I think he screwed this system. Yeah. Bracken, with your system right there, would you require that the same exact course setup is provided? Okay. Cause I was going to say if one of them runs a grid and the other, you saw grids are faster. Like we knew that.
It's got to be the same one. You give them
grids are faster because you have 15 good athletes on it.
It's both. And since you can't differentiate, you've got to see them on the same course in order to accurately judge them.
Yeah.
Because we see guys show up to the major and be 8 minutes behind. You know, that's an extreme example, but we have people
Not really.
minutes off the back, and you could prove that in the B heat.
Like in this, yeah, I think that's fair. Like we're just using, I mean, it sucks for Yannick that he's our example right now, but to have qualified for a world position, you had to run 56.0 in Estacombe, and he was 59.40, right? Like,
Yep.
He's 3 minutes off of like what we're trying to accomplish here.
And he's probably fitter than he was then, but 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
You know, he's run 7-8 races
And
at this point.
It's not 70 to 67.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not like Bracken and me trying to improve that terrible PR that we have.
Dude, stick you guys on that Berlin course. 45?
Sub 6. Yeah, 45.
46?
Yeah. I'm coming out with I'm going to go from the 70s to the 60s, and that's going to break the Bauer ranking system.
Put that in your
69, 59. That's not that impressive.
What if I go 70 to 59?
Oh, if you
what
do
does
that,
it say about the world?
I'd love to see it, but you're too busy getting hurt while you sleep.
Well, yeah, I'll never make the Elite 15, so maybe my goal is to have the biggest jump from your last pro race to your next pro race ever seen.
Okay.
I like it.
Which pre 12.5 meter sleds gives me a leg up on the competition.
I mean, it's got to be Matt Gross. Didn't he have like a 26-minute sled pull or something? Like
he was age group, not pro.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Gotcha.
And is this just Jack? Thank you for doing that. That's
good.
Good stuff. Fun to look at.
Definitely more viewable on YouTube than the audio version. The graphics.
I'm vindicated.
Yeah, but a lot of it made sense, right?
I've always been correct.
Yeah, but like a lot of it, you were like, "Hey, 4-minute course," and it's like, "Oh, 3:58. That's pretty dang close." This is a 2.5 minute. It was a minute and a half. Okay, it was still definitely too fast. Like
confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Nope. I've just been correct this whole time. Does this is this bad for, I mean, athletes who ran Berlin, right? Not just the top. Athletes who ran Berlin, whatever, it's their 4th to 10th race, take off 3 minutes. Are they ever going to run that time again? Is that like, do you have to be
Berlin,
like, oh yeah, my PR is 65, but like I've run 67 every time since Berlin? Like, is that just that's
just sports, right? Like everyone's got their Boston race. The year Ryan Hall ran the American fastest time with it. Like there's always these courses these years where it's just like, that's one of those things.
Right.
You're never going to touch that PR again, but it's what it is. You have it. I think it's bad for the Elite 15 of the sport, and it's good for the growth of the sport because it gives more superstars and attention in other cities and in other countries, and it gets the gym communities behind it, and you're excited about your local guy or girl that you know. And then they might come in and get waxed and you find out the bigger picture of the sport, but now they're training hard and they've got people around them. I think it helps grow the sport to have more people pop fast times, but it sucks for the Elite 15 of the sport. It is only detrimental.
I think it's pretty similar to track and field. Do you see that recently that the discus world record was broken?
Mm-hmm.
And it was in like basically a parking lot type of meet, not really a big meet at all. And there's no fanfare and like guarantee that guy goes to worlds and he might throw 4 meters shorter than what he did right there at some podunk meet. And it's like, oh, I don't believe that. So I can understand the argument where it's like, hey, sometimes you just have a good one-off result, but it looks a little suspicious when you base it on historical performance. That's the only thing I'm bringing up.
Oh yeah, it looks bad, but like the everyday gym goer doesn't care about that. They go to their local race and their local guy shows up and runs 56 and they're like, this is awesome. And I want to train with, like, I think it builds momentum at the community level to have representation at the high level. It's just too bad,
feels like
it's Wales and then your Wales guy goes out and gets waxed and then you realize like, maybe of course, but like it doesn't matter. You already had the momentum built.
Yeah, it just feels like claiming a PR with a slightly downhill course or something. You know, like you still covered the distance on foot, but you know there were some factors in there that may have helped you out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. That's why marathon shouldn't be like
downhill.
There shouldn't be a world record for the marathon. It really shouldn't, unless they have a standard course. Because you can't possibly measure them all the same, even though they have measurement standards. They have certified courses all the time to get popped for being incorrect. Someone made a mistake. Someone did it correctly, and then the person in the truck who went out to market didn't follow the direct. Like this happens all the time.
Yeah,
it's why we can't assign time to things that aren't identical.
And that seems to be the argument that people make against, like, me specifically complaining about this and for the qualification systems. Like, oh, well, marathon. Oh, well, Ironman. It's like the races are way longer and the barrier to entry is like so much greater, or less, I should say, where you can just stick a bunch of people on a start line. They're cutting it off at 15 people.
Right.
And there's discrepancies up to 7 to 10% over the course of an hour race.
1 hour, like your marathon example with the 2 hours, and it's like, oh, it was actually an hour 51. It's like, if anybody ran an hour 51 marathon, would be like, hell no, that is impossible.
Right.
And yet these are the differences that we're seeing in courses because of different layouts.
Yeah. It's simply silly until it costs people, and now it's costing people, which is now it's a detriment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you guys think the solution? I know we've had this so many different times, but I think obviously head to head was a fantastic idea that they implemented this year to make that kind of the proving ground, because that you earned your way in against these 15 people who got in due to time, but you still have to beat them head to head. I think that was great. But I think next year, 2 in Europe, 2 in the US, that's kind of what, or North America, development in the US at this point. It's like, what if you're in APAC? What if you're in the Middle East or something? Do you change the major structure? And I don't know. You might still stick with 2 in Europe because you have more races there, maybe 1 in the US and 1 in somewhere in Asia, where people from the Middle East and other parts of Asia have like a middle ground, or Australia even. That's going to be a little bit tricky for them to try to qualify. But do you have like a feeder program, like a mini, like, these are the 1 to 5 races that matter the most. These are the only ones that your times will matter for. We're going to have an exact identical layout every single time. Like, how would you go about it?
There's only one answer. Yeah. Performance Center. That's all we can.
The last chance qualifier has already proved itself. That's the future. The future is you qualify in at specific races and you get in, sure, off times or previous race wins or podiums. But if you make it based off time qualification, just like with Olympic trials, you have to allow so many people in that no one possibly, like, the time has to be so slow to get in that everyone who has a chance is allowed in. Mm-hmm. The capping at 15 is the issue. And they can handle much bigger heats, and they should, or they should run 2 heats of it, or they should just have multiple qualifiers. But it must be more like track and field or the marathon, where the time gets everyone with a prayer in and some without one. And then you just got to race your way in. It's the only way to ever accurately get the best competitors in. And it makes for upsets, which is always great. Someone's going to go home that belonged to be there. And that's just the story of the sport.
Right. But the drawback is these last chance qualifiers, you have such discrepancies for both genders. You only had 1 qualifying spot available in Cologne for the men, but you had 3 for the women. You're having 4 in Anaheim for the women.
I'm talking different system.
Oh, okay. Moving I thought you were saying it workked. Okay.
It wouldn't be considered a last chance qualifier. It would just be like a qualifier.
Yeah.
And once you punch your ticket, you don't get to come to the next one.
Right. Like, again, there's 2 of those on each continent, but I think they still want, like, I think there should be these majors still.
Mm-hmm.
But do it, yes, off of a ranking system that takes in head to head, takes in like these course discrepancies.
Adjusted.
Yes, and just pops out a world ranking system, like kind of what you showed us, Jack. And then it's like okay,
I could improve what I did pretty easily.
Yeah.
And make it actually real. Because I already did that for Spartan races. Like, I could definitely come up with something, but if they're not going to pay me, I won't do it.
Right. And then there's 2 to 3 majors, and only the top 3 qualify, no roll down. And there's just money payouts, and they could show those on the grid to highlight what it's going to look like for Worlds. And then at these qualifiers, the regional qualifiers, they just do that recap like what they did for the last chance in Europe, and it was fine. It looked great. We could tell the story of the race. They didn't have to change the whole event. They got multiple heats, multiple athletes in there. Like, I think that's the most. Sometimes people seem to be anti-complications. There's those things are so complicated with qualifying. It's like, not really. It's just like, I think you should have to qualify into a championship as well. It's like New York and LA. You have to either hit a standard or run faster than or get in top whatever, and then you get to be in the championship in Chicago or whatever it is.
Coaches didn't just be like, oh, here's my fastest runner. They can enter the state meet. It's like, no, did you hit the qualifying time in high school or track or college, whatever it was? Now you can advance. And then same there, you have conference meet, you have nationals. Like you should have gates to prevent advancing to the next level. But when you make those gates foolish, honestly, like that's where the issue is.
The time gate has to be bigger than smaller so that the competition gets real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully they do something where it's gated regionally. But yeah, then we're going to have to consider APAC. Maybe they put like a major in APAC, right? And like top 1 to 3 go.
And the number changes as they grow.
And that's the only qualifier they get.
Do you put it in like Singapore, where if you're in Eastern Asia, like it's a bit of a trek? If you're from Australia, it's a bit of a trek. If you're from the UAE, where you've had
Australia's
all the other races.
Screwed.
I know they are.
Ideally, they would be in Australia. Maybe that's how they just rank. They use the ranking system.
They shouldn't be a part of it.
They're out.
They should be their own.
Okay, so you have how many spots? So you said you want to keep a last chance qualifier, and we're assuming 15 people still in there. So 3 people roughly make it from each of the 4 majors, and then 3 people from a last chance qualifier. Or
it could be less majors or less people.
How about this? You do
only winner.
I think 20 people in the race.
Yeah, 20 would make more sense. But if we're going with the 15, you could do 1 in the US, you get 3. You do 2 in Europe, so you get 6. So now you're up to 9. And then you do 1 in like the winner of Australia, and then you have a separate Middle East and a separate APAC, something like that. And then
every continent that has Hyrox should get their own.
But Asia isn't the same as, Europe or the US size wise.
I didn't say the same qualifying spots, but their own qualifier.
Yeah, okay. Got 1.
The courses are different. Train on it, compete it. That's your spot. Who cares? Yeah. And they need to have more than 15 people at Worlds, and you can have 20, and then you just change their stupid start corral, or you just start them at the start of the longest stretch of the course, the very start of it, and let them fill the whole thing. You can go 12 people wide there.
I don't know why they're stuck on 15.
Like, just no run reason. Straight down it for 200 meters, and there's no there's no sharp turn stadium style after 4 steps. Like, no one has to fall. You can easily have 20 people in a race with no bottlenecking if you just start them at the start of the straightaway, like every normal track race. Or they use the turn most likely, but most often, but we don't need to do that. 3K steeple.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. But there's always going to be, whatever they do is going to be an issue no matter what. But we just got to hope they keep evolving.
I mean, I don't care what system they choose, as long as established people who belong there can get a pathway in, and new people have a pathway in.
Right.
There shouldn't be a barrier to entry if you're good enough to be there.
Right. Like Marcus is a good example of this. Right. He had 1 shot to get a time, and like he just had some misfortune health-wise that he couldn't do it, and now he has to put everything in this last chance qualifier.
Which at least he still has that this year. That's a step in the direction. He's had 2 opportunities, which is 2 more than last year. So it's a step, but it's not perfect yet.
And like, we'll look at this list, and it's like, we talked about this before. It's like, are the right people there? And it's like, maybe, but we also don't know, because now there's these 56-minute guys. Like, should they be there?
The right top athletes are there.
From what we think, but what about these new guys?
If you just add 5 people to the heat, you can have 5 wild cards in every major race and say, okay, you get 1 chance here. Don't blow it. If you suck, like, you're not back in until you earn it. But if you just think you're that good and you have fitness credentials to prove it, and people in the sport will vouch for you, like you and Dylan, a couple people be like, yeah, let's have Marcus. I vote for him as a wild card. He gets a wild card in, and he gets a 1 chance to prove it. And if he pulls a Steefer and does really well, like, great, you're in the club. But I think that they has to have some sort of system outside of, you run a time to get you in. Like, if all the best guys say this guy probably should be here, just add him to the wave. We don't need to be stuck on 15.
It's just so much easier having multiple waves, and then same exact course layout, add the results up, combine the different heats, rank them that way, and now you know who actually ran faster and who didn't.
It's just not going to happen.
Capping it at 15, that's the issue. I mean, I looked at the CrossFit games. year one, 2007, they had 44 people. They've had 45. They've had like 120 other years. They've had 40 recently. They change it. Not illegal to do that. Sometimes they make cuts. Sometimes they keep people a long time. Like, I don't know. It seems very strange that they're unwilling to budge on this.
All right, let's transition out of this because we're talking about Mexico City for a minute. I just want to talk about our boy Isaiah. Is he hurt? Because he didn't have
How
a
did
good
he do in quarterfinals?
Not good.
Really?
It looks like one workout he just mailed in.
Really?
Mhm.
He didn't do well in that burpee box jump plus wall ball, or
Like not
that's
really.
shocking.
I mean, he did okay. It was his best score, but he wouldn't have beat me by very much. And
that was the best one.
And I was.
I'm assuming his season's over.
There's this tipping point that a body gets to when you go all in on power and mass. Like at some point you do enough and now you can't do the things you used to be able to do. And burpees and box jumps get worse if they used to be your strength, and running just leaves you. And if he's to the point where he is so massive and powerful, it doesn't shock me that he can't run very well anymore.
I mean, is he a really good example? Honestly, I'm looking at this right now, Rich. You're right. 621st was his best finish, and he had one in the 15,000s and stuff. But he was top 100 worldwide in the Open, and that got him to the next level. Is it kind of like, oh yeah, you ran a 56 on a fast course, but now that you're facing
a little bit
more competition, does your mark actually hold up?
And that's why they do this in these waves, in these stages, so you can kind of like test a certain skill, and then you add things. But this doesn't, like, some of these workouts were not that different in terms of skill, but he just didn't really show up.
Wasn't a good
when he was at the Spartan Cruise, I want to say he was down to like 155, 160.
155 for him? I know he's shorter, but still.
Shorter, but I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, and he just looked like a runner at that point. And he went out and did like a 40-minute run afterwards because Yancey had programmed after. Like he was in that zone. What do you think you think he's 50 pounds heavier?
215, I'd say probably right now.
60 pounds heavier?
I would say he's closer to like 205. 215
that's
huge.
50 he's 50 or 60 pounds heavier. At some point you get to that mass that you just can't run anymore.
No, he's like 5'7". He's not
5'8" tops.
Yeah, so 215 would be crazy.
And then it leaves in a hurry.
I mean, he just ran out. And then he also did this Hyrox in 72:27. Again, slowest course ever.
Yeah.
But
so what's that one worth, Jack? Is that like a 68?
It was 6.8%. So yeah, what's that? What did you run, Rich? 74, you said?
72.
72.
Eugenio beat him. Eugenio.
Oh wow.
There's no swim.
No swim. Guess Eugenio's.
Yeah, that comes out to a 67 low.
What did he debut at?
61, 62. Yeah.
He came in and went unbroken on wall balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Guess Eugenio's sled pull time. How much do you think? And Eugenio,
just a standard OCR guy with some strength to them, but a small
Godinez Romero. He was the guy who went out real hard,
led Spartan Worlds, and then fell off.
But has done well.
Drowned.
Does he have national series podiums? Definitely Mexico national series.
A couple of them.
Yeah,
he was a 150.800 runner.
The new sled 635.
I'm gonna go. What was his overall time, Rich?
It was like 72 low. He's just in front of.
You're smirking so hard. This has got to be like a 9.
No, 648.
Okay, Bracken.
Wall balls.
6.5.
5'10".
647. He just matched. He just set his splits from the pole and just made sure to match that.
Identical. Yeah.
But I got my
normal 1-to-1 ratio.
It is what it is.
But he was running all right at that level of elevation.
It should be 1-to-1, right?
It should actually be pretty close to 1-to-1.
At the fastest sled pull, like there's room to get faster in sled pull, where you kind of tap out on wall balls. It ends up being about like 3:15, right?
Yeah.
Sled pull can happen that fast, but yeah,
probably shouldn't. Yeah,
I would say sled pull should be faster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Angel and Manuel Sierra Camacho ended up teaming up as well. Got second in the team's division.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they had a good showing. I saw a couple of clips, and let's just say they looked like they were doing 50-meter all-out sprints on the ski erg. I don't think that they sustained their pace later in the race.
Good for them.
Yeah. Hey, they're trying.
You can
Oh,
really
these
work
are-
hard on that skier, girly, if
Yeah.
you want to.
These are American dudes who went
Take a
down.
nap.
Lester Maxwell and Adrian Dahlin. They're big white guys, so they probably went out there in that course next to Camacho and Angel. I'm like, oh my god, look at these giants.
Yeah.
I've
Waxed.
competed in Mexico City. I do not want to do a Hyrox there.
No way.
I mean, how do you think it's like training? I mean, you know just as much because you lived here for a while, Bracken. But like Rich and I, some of these workouts, they just suck at altitude.
And they're higher. 70, aren't they 75 at Mexico City?
I was living
That's too much.
in Colorado Springs at the time,
Yeah.
and it was
And you still thought you didn't wanna-
brutal.
yeah.
And the smog and the pollution was, I was nauseous during my warm up. It was brutal.
Yeah.
Maybe
What if
anything
they
else
held? I was gonna say, what if they held one in Denver? It seems like their cities are kind of they're gonna
Pass.
stick with what they've got in the U.S. Where would a new one go?
There's
Seattle, maybe.
There's
They don't have that corner
Pacific
of the country.
Northwest. I think there's a decent. It's just kind of hard to get to other places. I mean, I think they would do like in Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
Would
That's a
make
good one.
sense.
Do the big one. Yeah, all the major cities.
Yeah,
Like
I
to
mean,
see them
maybe
have
Phoenix,
hit
I don't
the
know.
Boston, New York City, then something like
Mhm.
maybe do a Charlotte.
Those
Raleigh.
softies up in Boston, they wouldn't show out for that race.
Softies. Yeah.
That shit is way too hard for the people up there.
They almost had one, and then I think they canceled it, and it wasn't even due to COVID. It just got canceled.
They said bad. Well, they were not going to lift the mask mandate, and
And
they're like, "We're not doing the Hyrox event with
Yeah.
masks."
Thought maybe
Sorry.
Joe DeSena purchased the venue that day.
that day.
Anything else we got to talk about?
I think we're good.
I think we're good to go. What was up on TRP? Learn of BK's sleeping mishaps. Are you always a side sleeper?
I'm mostly a back sleeper.
Same here. What are you,
So you
Rich?
get for spooning.
My natural tendency is to lean to the side, but I try to be back sleeper. I just got a chili pad for my sleep.
Oh yeah, and
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Temperature is a huge factor in how well you sleep.
yeah.
And it's like I never have to worry about being warm now. Usually it's like, oh man, it was a warm day. It's gonna be warm in here, but it's
Yeah.
like just this mattress pad that cools from underneath. So I've woken up a little
Sweet.
cold a couple times. So I'm trying to figure that all out.
You get
But-
better quality sleep. I'd rather do that
Yep.
than sleep hot.
But
Keep
once
a
it's
box fan going.
Yeah.
That's what I've got. Yep.
Yeah.
Audrey
That's
has 3 blankets, and I've got a fan blowing on me with a very thin blanket. Yeah.
Well, we did the series How to Run Your Best blank. We did mile, 5K, marathon, ultra, and we decided not to do hybrid because there just isn't a best way to run well for hybrid, I don't think. And I don't want to, we don't want to say this is how you run your best and it doesn't work for you because you're a power athlete. Or so anyways, we did how to think about training for hybrid sports.
we're still
How to think.
you're still milking that series.
We wrapped it. This was just the next training.
Seems like they're
Tuesday.
pretty low on topic ideas, if you ask me. But
I don't know. You just always run them back.
yeah,
Start from this.
Full
Start,
on topics.
start
You
fresh.
wait till tomorrow when we record our Q&A,
yeah.
I
which
can't.
it is.
If I would, I believe it's probably gonna be great. People are gonna love it. If I didn't know you and I saw the how to run your best everything, I'd be like, what are these guys talking about? How could this even be a thing? It sounds like a person that puts Hyrox world champion or world record holder in their
No.
profile. That's what it sounds like. If I
This
didn't
is
know
for
you
the
guys-
OCR running
how-
community who are
how
like
to run your best
training for
everything.
a
I would be like,
marathon.
okay,
and want to PR a 5K on along the
I
way.
get it. But if I saw it without context, I'd be like,
Without context.
Rich,
Show
I saw-
notes always be within 6 weeks of pivoting towards a near PR.
Okay.
That's what
Life,
that's what we
lifetime
did.
or a current fitness type of PR.
adult life PR.
TRP's Instagram
Post-collegiate.
says Hyrox world record holder in there.
I saw one very recently that said 5-time OCR world champion.
Whoa.
and I can tell you, it's
You were
not
on John Albin's page?
not the no, he's like a
Nicole America?
9 or something. No, it's none of the usual suspects.
What?
Yeah,
They were
I
not
saw someone the
being
other
forthcoming?
day. It was it was hard to really tell. It was whether it was a person's account, but their label was like athlete and coaching plan or system. And then they claimed all these things they have. And it looked like they had to have been claiming that they've coached people too. OCR World Championship,
Yes.
Hyrox or whatever it was. But I didn't recognize the name, and they had like 85 followers or something. So I don't even know what they were actually claiming. But I think it couldn't work for either their coaching or them as an athlete, unless it was
Can't be true.
They coach someone to the 75, 79 age group podium at OCR Worlds or something. Where
Yeah, I
they're
don't know. I don't know what they were calling it.
I think there's a place to like talk about, not even to talk about, just to know, like to reference what level of athlete you have coached. But if you're putting something like that in your profile, like, and it making it about you, then it's like,
old.
you're probably a
business
shitty
profile,
coach.
yes.
Yeah, you're not even if it's
But
like
now you're personal.
or if you're just like being introduced to speak somewhere. I don't think it should ever be, the coach should never be about like what they've accomplished. Do you know what I mean? As a coach, because it's just like, to me, it's just fundamentally not what coaches are doing. They're
You don't
helping
say
other
my
people.
athlete either.
No, they're
An
not.
athlete
They're
I
not.
work with.
They're not yours.
You are their coach.
You're their coach.
They are not
right?
your athlete.
That's for sure. That's another one that's kind of weird, and they're just like kind of bragging. But yeah, that's one thing I find a red flag. It's like if they are talking about what they have done, then they are going to be self-serving across the board.
Yeah, my favorite is I got this athlete to a blank. Like, oh,
Right.
you did, huh?
Wow.
You picked them up and carried them to that?
Move those legs. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, I got her from a 1750 down to a 1710.
That's amazing. You
Yeah,
must
great for you.
She approved under my
Magic.
training program to that.
magic
yeah.
spell.
Got one more question for you. NFL
Nice.
draft. What's going to happen?
When is that?
Isn't that this Thursday?
I believe it.
Yeah. Are the Bears gonna ruin it taking
Yeah.
Caleb Williams? Okay.
Gonna ruin it?
Yeah. They
do you
always they're not good at drafting quarterbacks, and they're gonna screw it up again.
No one's.
I mean,
good at
he's
drafting quarterbacks.
he's the
You
one
get
to
lucky or
pick.
you don't.
I mean, what else would you expect them to do?
I
Who are
don't
the
know.
best quarterbacks in the league right now, and how many were drafted number one? You don't draft.
You don't
good
get a Peyton
quarterbacks
Manning
very
too often.
No.
Or
Right.
Andrew Luck. Like,
And there was debate between him and Ryan Leaf at the time.
almost worked out.
Mahomes wasn't.
He was 10.
He was
Rodgers.
10.
Brady
Yeah.
199. Rodgers in the 20s.
No one's
like,
good at drafting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You either get the number one pick who happens to be generational, or you get lucky that the guy you snagged late makes you look like a genius.
Even last year, the number 2 pick was better than number 1 pick.
Yeah.
But still, it's still number 2.
Oh yeah, CJ Stroud.
My
killing it,
final
yeah.
thing, I had a notification come through while we were talking.
Mhm.
FBI was found liable for 137 million to 100 people from the Nasser case. So
How many people?
100 athletes.
Oh, I thought you said
137
137 million people were. I'm like,
No, 137
that's like half the
million
country.
paid out over 100 individuals. So they're all walking
Wow.
away with $1 million plus
Wow, really?
from the FBI for mishandling the Larry Nasser case.
The FBI has to pay that out?
138.7
FBI.
Wow.
For
Wow.
not following up appropriately and for not handling it right.
Yeah, I mean that whole situation was just despicable. But
How often does the government get found liable for anything?
That's crazy.
So congratulations isn't the right thing, but
Not
that
the
is a win for humanity.
I suppose that's true. I
Yeah,
suppose that's true. Scumbag. All right.
good way to end it.
On a high note.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.